I spent my high school years in an antique stone-built educational establishment that boasted a history that stretched back for centuries. Among the myriad legends that hung over the school like an eerie mist, the one about the old library was the most chilling, and I can attest to its veracity because I experienced it firsthand. The library, housed in one of the oldest parts of the school, was a haven for students during the day. But as twilight draped its mantle over the school, the library seemed to undergo a transformation. One evening, during the rigorous finals period, I found myself alone in the library, studying late into the night. That's when I heard the whispers. At first, it was just a murmur, like a soft breeze rustling through leaves. It was easy to dismiss until it escalated into a clear, persistent whispering. The source seemed to be the forgotten corner of the library, where ancient archives covered in dust and cobwebs resided. As I neared the corner, the whispers grew louder, resembling hushed, hurried conversations from a forgotten era. Standing in that cobweb-ridden corner, I distinctly heard my name, whispered softly. I dashed out of the library, the whispers echoing behind me. Even today, the memory of spectral voices from the past recognizing me sends a shiver down my spine. During my early 20s, I developed a penchant for urban exploration, driven by the thrill of unveiling forgotten histories and the silent stories of derelict structures. One such exploration led me to an eerie, abandoned asylum located on the outskirts of my town. The forsaken building, a solemn testament to the town's obscured past, stood isolated and forgotten, its haunted reputation warding off most curious souls. The day of my first exploration was engulfed in a sense of thrilling apprehension. Stepping into the desolate asylum was like venturing into a dark slice of history. I made my way through the dilapidated wards and long-abandoned patient rooms, the decrepit walls echoing with an eerie silence that sent chills down my spine. Each room told a silent tale of pain, fear, and isolation. However, nothing was as chilling as the asylum's basement. As I descended into the ominous darkness, a wave of anxiety washed over me. The air turned heavy and cold, a stark reminder of the horrific past that had played out in those very confines. And then, I heard it. A low moan resonated through the cavernous space, growing into a chorus of agonizing screams. My flashlight danced across the graffiti-laden walls, creating macabre shadows that seemed to be in tune with the cries. The bone-chilling screams and the eerie atmosphere of the asylum were too much to bear, forcing me to flee. But even today, the horrifying cries from the bowels of the asylum reverberate in my ears, a grim reminder of the pain that place once harbored. During my time in college, my friends and I shared a thirst for adventure. One fateful summer, we chose to set up camp in a locally infamous forest, known for its strange and unexplained occurrences. As daylight bathed the forest, the woods appeared serene and welcoming. However, as dusk fell, the atmosphere of the woods began to shift from welcoming to downright ominous. Late into the night, an orchestra of unsettling sounds shattered the silence. Guttural cries, rustling leaves, and disturbing whispers. We brushed them off as sounds of nocturnal creatures, but the growing sense of unease was hard to ignore. Then, as I was struggling to drift off to sleep, I was jolted awake by the frantic, horrifying sound of scratching on the fabric of my tent. Fear gripped me as I lay frozen, listening to the unknown terror just beyond the thin canvas. And then, it went eerily silent. A silence that was abruptly broken by a blood-curdling scream from a nearby tent. Rushing out, we discovered our friend's tent abandoned, the campsite plunged into a terrified chaos. We spent the remainder of that nightmare of a night huddled together, waiting anxiously for daylight. The terror of the unexplained disappearance of our friend and the eerie sounds from the woods haunt me to this day. As a young bachelor, I found a seemingly perfect and affordable apartment in a peaceful neighborhood. The low rent for such a lovely place should have alerted me, but I was too excited to pay heed to these warning signs. It was not long before peculiar incidents began to surface. My possessions would inexplicably relocate. The lights flickered at random, and chilly drafts would creep through the apartment, bypassing the tightly shut windows. The strangeness escalated when one night, I was startled awake by the resonating sounds of a piano playing a melancholy melody. I tiptoed out of my room to discover the piano keys moving of their own accord, the air filled with the ethereal tune. The next day, I confronted my landlord. His face lost color as I narrated my experiences. He confessed that the previous tenant, a gifted pianist, had taken her own life in that very apartment. The haunting music, the unexplainable occurrences, it all fell into a terrifying pattern. I packed my belongings and left that day, unable to shake off the memory of that chilling revelation. The experience of living in that haunted apartment continues to give me goosebumps to this day.